Thanks for coming on this hot night. And thanks to Bluestocking. And again, bookstores like this are, in the age of corporate consolidation, are kind of becoming more rare. I don't think I think there's like a volunteer method. You guys are volunteers? I better not ask. See? Volunteers. So, I mean, the point is that, this is like a community thing, local culture, think global, something local, Anyway, all right, let's move on. Cassie, the character in this book, Cassie, is a tabloid reporter hunting down someone who is killing Elvis impersonators. In this scene, this is kind of a book, I think of it as a book for the age of Bush, which is probably a little on the late side, but, you have to read the subtext yourself. All right. In this scene, she goes into an Elvis competition to pursue her story. And we begin. Mesopotamia. Several local news vans were parked outside with large satellite dishes on long, retractable poles that plug the blue suede cavern into the rest of the world. Unlike the outdoor stages where standing space was free and limitless, inside the numbered seats had all been sold in advance, and even the standing room was sold out. My performance slot was second from the last, number 19 of 20 performers who had made it into the finals. All of us clones were ushered into the rear entrance, then led to a large rectangular dressing room that had two long benches in front of two lines of mirrors. Elvis's sat in both directions as if it were the galley of a Las Vegas slave ship. With the two rows of mirrors facing each other, it looked like an endless room with hundreds of Elvises fading into the eternal distance. I seem to be one of the only two she-Elvises, though there were 3 other Asians and 4 African Americans, or perhaps there were just 2 who had been reflected. Most of them seemed to know each other. I listened as they talked, exchanging jokes, gossip, and other Elvis-related news. Some of them spoke with a kind of indelible Elvis twang that made me wonder that they had lost traces of themselves and their commitment to the king. A short, red-faced man with a gin blossom nose let out an incredibly loud whistle, compelling everyone to listen up. Okay, Elvises, here's what's going to happen. I'm the MC, and you'll go in the order you were picked. This meant I was second from the last. When all the patrons are seated and the judges are ready, I'll come back here and call out your number and you'll go on stage. You'll do your 3 songs, take a bow, and come back inside quickly. No dedications, no speeches, no shenanigans. We have to be quick about this, as we're figuring about 4 or so performances per hour in order to be done by 11:30 and ordain the king by midnight. Now the good news is, no one will go home empty-handed. So if you'll just follow the rules, there are concession prices for everyone based on how you place, and all of them are worth more than the entry fee, so you're all already winners. Everyone clapped at the little Elvis wrangler. He exited, and a few minutes later we could hear him saying, "The Elvises have entered the building." Spectators wildly applauded. After some cursory remarks and a few jokes, the little man rushed back in and shouted, "Elvis number 1, you're on!" A slightly overweight Elvis in a leather bodysuit arose elastically like an S&M Gumby doll and strode forward. The quivery rolls of his tightly crusted fat gently bounced as he strutted out the little doorway. He had the clear advantage of being the first in a room full of imitators. All of us listened through a small amplifier that was wired into the changing room as he sang an electrifying jailhouse rock. As soon as the applause tapered, he burst into "It's Now or Never," then wrapped it up with "Mystery Train." Those were all Elvis's songs, by the way. To thunderous applause. The leather Gumby came dashing back, sopped in sweat, closely tailed by the little MC who shouted, "Number 2, pronto!" When Elvis number 2, who was in the bathroom, didn't respond, the man shouted, "I want the next fucking Elvis to be waiting for me by the door when I come out, or you're going to lose your turn. You got to shit, piss, vomit, or jerk off, you do it now." When number 2 dashed onto the stage and opened with "Mystery Train," it was deja vu all over again. "This is going to be a long fucking night," said the guy next to me. Some of the more experienced Elvises quickly took charge. They checked the songs of the younger imitators to make sure that there were no more back-to-back performances of the same numbers. Over the course of the next 2.5 hours, watching that chain of Elvi slowly jump onto the dark cliff of the stage, I had some clue of what the real king must have had to go through trying to remain sober year after year in the face of so much pressure and tedium. Almost everyone chain-smoked, and a single busboy kept shuttling back and forth, bringing full trays of drinks as the slowly diminishing group of Elvises got liquored up. This sing-along was as competitive as any blood sport, and you had to pay your dues to move up the ranks. Did I see you at the Branson Regionals? A Native American performer who went under the moniker Big Chief Elvis asked me with a lascivious grin. Not unless it was a testicle-twisting contest, I shot back, discouraging any advances. Hey, I don't like the white man either, he countered. Throughout the evening he kept looking over, catching me in the mirror and winking. Finally I decided to go out for some air. While outside I canvassed the nearby parking lot to see if I could spot the dirty pink Cadillac belonging to the enigmatic owner. Though I saw a couple caddies, I didn't find the one with the decals. Turning on my cell phone and checking my messages, I discovered that I'd received a call from my friend at the Boston PD who said the fingerprints from the severed hand I had sent him belonged to one Rodney East, previously arrested for drunken disorderly. Holy shit. That meant the man I was looking for who I had gone through all this entire charade to meet, was none other than the dead burglar. This is all part of the plot, you gotta read it. And then, who the hell was John Carpenter? For a moment, I considered just walking to my car and driving north all the way back to New York. Then it occurred to me that even if Rod East was dead, there was still someone else who previously went by the name John Carpenter. I strolled over to the hill behind the tavern and began a slow ascent. The key thing that really compelled me to stay there was all the time and effort I had already invested. I decided to press on in my search for the man pretending to be John Carpenter. I walked past the spot where Floyd had found the burglar's body, setting my entire plight in motion. When I entered the side door of the Blue Suede, someone greeted me. It was the beautiful Thelma Presley, the other female Elvis. "You got a long ways to go," she said, seeing me check the posted roster. They were about 3/4 of the way down the list. Even though she was older than me, she said she liked to think of herself as a younger Elvis when he was still androgynous looking. Since she had suddenly decided to be chatty, I asked her a variety of questions about the Blue Suede. "This is honestly the first time I've had the confidence to go into competition here. If you want the voice of experience, ask Sir Elmo Presley," she said, pointing to the dealer at a table full of poker-playing Elvises. "He's been singing in side rooms since the beginning."